There you go.
Hi everyone, Sarah here from the Paper Cut. Thursday night, so it's our Thursday night live with you. Tonight we're just going to be, hang on. Sarah here from the Paper Cut.
If it's not Sarah, it's Mom.
Yeah.
If it's not Mom, it's Sarah.
So yeah, tonight it was me. We'll
turn.
see if my mom's turn's on now too. So anyways, hi everyone, Sarah here from the Paper Cut Thursday night demo. We can see me and my volume or my audio is obviously working. So anyways.
If Winnie barks, it's because it's her birthday.
Yeah, Winnie's here and it's her birthday. She's 5 years old today. Her mom's going to be coming to get her shortly, so that'll kind of, he'll hear her feet clanking on the floor in a little bit. Anyways, so today we did get all of our kits shipped for our next week Thursday, which we're doing our Fun Time Thursday with the flip-flop cards. So if you didn't order a kit, they're still available. So we have this flip-flop card that we'll be doing. And then we have this other flip-flop card that we will be doing. Now with these two, the holes are pre-cut in the card. I cut those for you. But then you do get an extra pack of paper in there. So you get an extra pack of paper, and that extra pack has 2 more white cards, 2 more craft cards, and then some more patterned paper and the envelopes. So then you can make 4 more cards. And we'll go through the die cutting so you can learn how to do the die cutting. I'll go through it both with our new deep etched dies, and I'll go through it with just a regular die. So you can follow along and you can, cut cards. If you got flip-flop cards before and you didn't order the Fun Time Thursday, pull those out and you can still kind of learn with us. So anyways, those kits though are still available on our website, and it's this flip-flop kit. And we'll be doing that next Thursday. It'll be at 6 o'clock. It'll take longer. Normally I demo for about a half an hour, but that one, probably plan on about an hour. We'll probably do the 2 cards first, and then we'll go to die cutting after that. So that's what's going on next week, Thursday. So we are part of a new group, a new virtual group. If you saw my post that was a couple days ago, it's called Crafters Classroom. And yeah, my mom's just hearing about it because she wasn't here all week. So anyways, so it's like a virtual event, but it's more geared towards teaching. So it's not the heavy sales where we're just showing you all new product. We're actually either going to demo or we'll have a craft along. It'll be vendors that you haven't seen before probably, or that you've maybe seen before, but they haven't been doing a lot of the virtual stuff, like Mitra from Impression Obsession, she's joining us, and Jennifer from Stamplistic, because she's the one that put it together, and Mitra from Impression Obsession, a crafty situation. I don't even know all the vendors, so I haven't gotten that list yet of all the vendors, but I know Inky Antics is, there's another company, like sister company of Inky Antics. I'm not sure. Oh, I think Art Gone Wild, maybe. Anyways, it's one of their sister companies is doing it too. So, anyways, that.
Do you still do OOAK?
Yeah, I haven't signed up for the May one because that one I've got too much going on in May. And then they have a June one, and they skipped July, and then they have August. So yeah, I'll probably be doing, those periodically, plus I'll be doing my own thing, plus I'll be doing that. So we're going to be keeping super busy here at the Paper Cut. Those for the Crafters Classroom are the second Saturday of every month. So it's always the same Saturday of every month. The times may change, like usually on One of a Kind, I'm always on at 9:15 in the morning, so the times will vary, and I don't have those yet. So the first one is May 14th, and because a lot of people, there might be a lot of new people for me, or for our company, so with that one, I am going to do magic cards because those are always fun, especially for new people to do. But I know that you guys like to do them too, even though you've done them before. They're always fun to do. So I'm going to design a couple new magic cards, and that's easy for me to teach, to a group that's kind of new at my craft alongs.
So that's going to be May 14th is the first one, and then the second Saturday of every month after that.
Yes. Yep. Second
and
Saturday.
where will they find that?
Oh, we're gonna go down to the table.
Okay.
Okay. So go down to the table. So you can either go to my post like 2 posts ago, which I think was on Tuesday, or you can search on Facebook, and this is the logo. So you'll search Crafters Classroom and you'll look for this logo and then join the group. Now some people will just do demos, some people will do craft alongs. I'll probably do a craft along every time. And those will be available, I think, like 3 weeks out. So it's going to be a little different than some of the other virtual events where they're kind of organized by one person. This is kind of a group effort between a bunch of us vendors. And so we're all posting our own video on a specific day.
Will you have kits for sale for your May 14th presentation?
Yes, I will.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
I'm designing them this weekend, and those are supposed to, we'll post in this group, and then I always post on my own page too, every Thursday. But in this group, I think April 12th is the date that all the companies are supposed to post, and they'll all do their own individual post, where in some of the other groups, it runs as one longer video. So, but each company is posting their own right in the Crafters Classroom, and that is scheduled for the 12th. And so that's when the kit will be available for the magic cards that I'm still designing. so if they're a surprise to me right now, it'll be a surprise to you. So anyways, go ahead, go to Crafters Classroom on Facebook. First date is Saturday, May 14th, but join the group. There's 3 questions, so answer the questions. And yeah, then you'll just go on that day. Now, the one thing, I won't stream to my Facebook page right away. I'll probably share it after. But I will probably stream to YouTube. There's a few people on YouTube that don't do Facebook. I don't know that all the vendors are. I know I have a few of you peeps that are watching right now on YouTube, and we'll still stay connected with you on YouTube too. So anyways, go to Crafters Classroom, sign up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, looking forward to it and pretty excited about it. Anyways, so I'm going to put this aside. And I forgot to change my paper out. So we're talking about different white cardstocks today. And I have white paper down, which is probably not the best thing. So let's get some green down. So anyways, with different whites, what happens with different whites is we have a bazillion of them. And sometimes you might be like, well, which white am I supposed to use? Because some are better for coloring, some are better for watercolor. And our standard white is our Cougar Opaque. So let's pull some of those whites out. And I'm going to hit on the watercolor group tonight and the more standard whites, but so those are the watercolor ones. And then just let me get some of these other ones out because I was talking. And anyways, our Cougar is the Cougar whites. The 80-pound Cougar is what most of our card bases are made out of. Hang on, I've got a whole bunch of these, and I just want to pull out the appropriate ones. I've got textured ones. Yeah, once I started pulling them, and I have these pulled from before, but once we started pulling them, I have way more whites than I thought I had. I'm like, oh, there's another one. Oh, I missed that one. But some are harder than others, and some are softer. So our Cougar is a very hard cardstock, which is good for basic stamping and your coloring. Then you have some of the softer ones, or that have a little bit of grit and they're softer. And, you know, you can still stamp on them, but really the Cougar and the Neenah Classic Crest, this is like for Copics. So these are a very hard surface, and they work super good for detail stamping and your Copic markers. Along with this 120-pound Brilliant White, which is called Purely Simple Paper. And it says Brilliant White, but really the Cougars are the brightest whites. So if you're looking for bright white, the Cougars are the brightest white. And then the rest of them, like, it's probably hard to tell through here, but like the Neenah Classic Crest isn't as bright white as the two Cougars are. So, and the Cougars are exactly the same. It's just one's 80 pound and one's 100 pound. And then you have the Neenah Classic Crest and the Brilliant White. So these are your three for Copic markers or colored pencils or crayons. These are my go-tos for those. Now, the other whites that we have, which I don't use them as often, and they're a softer paper, so you might not get as crisp as an image if you're stamping with these. So people read this one and they just read it as basic, which actually is Basis, is the brand of the paper. But people will read it as basic and they'll order the Basis white. And sometimes I'll call people and say, do you want the Cougar? Because that's, I'm used to them getting the Cougar and then all of a sudden they miss and they order the Basis. And some people do order the Basis and like it. It's got a little bit of a grit to it. It's not as super smooth and it's not as stark white as your two Cougars. And then there's the Via White, which honestly, it's a smooth one, but I don't use it very often. And then you have the 100-pound Sweet Tooth, which is 100 pound, and it's got, a hair of a grit to it. And again, it's not your stark white. So if you're looking for a white that's not as stark white, these three are pretty good, along with your Neenah Classic Crest, your Brilliant White that says it's Brilliant White, isn't as Brilliant White, and then also your Light Duty Watercolor, which we're going to talk about that one. I'm actually going to do some demoing on that one. So yeah, these three, they're good, but they're not my go-tos if I'm doing coloring. My coloring go-tos are really the two Cougars. And what the difference between grabbing an 80 and 100 pound, really there's no difference. They're both going to bleed through the back. I colored this one earlier and this is on 100 pound and it bled through the back. So usually I'll use those as layers. I'll never color on a card base with a Copic because it's always going to bleed through. Now I am going to experiment a little bit with this 120 pound Brilliant White because I just want to color it and see if you see through the back. Now I know I've colored before lightly and I haven't seen through the back, but I'm kind of wondering if I color these balloons fairly heavy if I'm going to see through the back. So we'll kind of pull that out too. So, and then just a few other whites because I am going to work on the Cougar and the Brilliant White, and then we're going to do some watercolors. But let's go to just some other whites that we have. There is the Glossy, which is the chrome coat, and there's the dull gloss. Now both of these have a finish on them. So the chrome coat is just this cast coated, very hard coating. You'll see people use the chrome coat for Stampscapes a lot. They'll use the chrome coat for the Stampscapes. Or I'll use the chrome coat for your, what was I saying? Brayering, like resist brayering. I'll use the chrome coat for that. The dull gloss has a coating on it, but it's not as heavy of a coating. And Beth from Endless Creations actually likes to color on the dull gloss. It's good for your detail stamping, both of them are. Although the chrome coat, you have to be careful because depending on your ink, it could smooge. It's really slick. So, but Beth from Endless Creations colors with the dull gloss a lot. So we're going to play with that because I usually don't color on my dull gloss, but I've got one of her stamps out here, so we're going to pull that out, stamp one of her stamps, and see what she likes about it for coloring. And then we have some textured ones, which we have our Hop Sack White, which unfortunately right now this one's been out of stock since last year. So, and they kept telling us it was going to be back in stock. It was going to be back in stock. And so yeah, this one you won't find, but it has like this weave finish to it. Kind of like the basil, but it's called Hop Sack, and it's a finish that the paper mill puts on it. And then you have linen, which is just a little bit more elegant. People will use this for invitations and such. And then also we have an 80-pound white felt. Now the felt, some people get confused and think that because it says felt, it is actual felt. It's not. It's just the finish of the paper is the felt. So it's got a little dimply type finish. So, which we have this 110-pound ultra white felt that I use for watercoloring a lot. The 80-pound I probably wouldn't use for watercoloring as much. So let's put those aside for a minute, and we're going to play with a couple of these and do some coloring.
Tina Webster says she has McCoy Dull Gloss.
Yeah, that's McCoy Dull Gloss is the dull gloss.
Okay.
So this dull gloss, it does have, I should put that on here. So it's the McCoy Dull Gloss. This is the McCoy. And it is a 100-pound paper. Now, difference between point and pound, the 10 point is like closer to an 80-pound. The 12 point is closer to a 100-pound. You'll see like the mirror cards, the Mary Lavas, those are all by points. They have 12 point, 13 point, 14 point, where a lot of the other papers are by pound. And there's been a big discussion on Stamp Junkies, where they talk about the Neenah Classic Crest a lot. And there's actually different grades of paper. There's cover. Oh, do you have a question, Mom?
Yeah, two.
Okay, couple questions.
Okay, so which are best for ink blending, for instance, with blending brushes?
I like the Cougar. That's why the Cougar is my go-to paper for everything.
Okay.
And in any classes, I am blending on the Cougar.
All right. And would the dull gloss or chrome coat be good for alcohol inks?
You can do alcohol inks on the chrome coat, but
Yupo is great for...
Yupo is great for the alcohol inks. The difference between like the gloss and the Yupo is that the inks soak into the paper of the gloss. On the Yupo, the inks stay on top, so you can layer them, you can move them around. On here, once the inks soak in, you can't get any secondary reactions on the gloss. So you can do it, and it'll kind of give you a marbly type look, but you don't get the secondary little bubbly reactions. You do see me use like the Silver Glossy a lot for alcohol inks, and it's got a little bit harder surface, and so it does soak in, but yeah, you can use it, and this is what we used to use in the old days before Yupo.
Oh, okay.
There wasn't always Yupo around. So dull gloss, I haven't really played with that with the alcohol inks. So was there another question?
No.
Okay. Anyways, there's a big discussion on Stamp Junkies about the 100-pound Neenah Classic Crest, because there's different grades of paper. So the paper that we all carry, the cardstock, or what you refer to as like a cardstock, is actually a cover. It's a cover weight. Okay. There are index weights, which is lighter. So you'll have 110-pound index, and that's going to be more like probably closer to a 65-pound cover stock. And then you have,
Just to confuse everybody.
yeah, then you have 80-pound text. So people get confused and say, I want an 80-pound paper. Well, you have 80-pound cover and you have 80-pound text. The text weight is a lot lighter weight. So there's different weights of paper, but there's also different grades. There's cover, there's index, there's text. Somewhere in between there is a paper called Bristol. So you have to make sure if you're getting the 100-pound Neenah Classic Crest that you're getting the cover weight and not the index weight, because there's a huge price difference too. People are like, oh, I found a deal on it, and really they're getting the index
Yeah.
instead of the cover.
Your dad would talk about that a lot. A lot. Yeah.
So anyways, let's go. We're just going to look at Copics and coloring with pencils. And I'm going to pull out some 100-pound. I'm going to actually show you one of Beth from Endless Creations, one of her tricks for stamping and coloring. And I am by no means an expert at coloring. I've kind of just learned along the way. Oops. Hate when that happens. And I know somebody told me I should put tape on these things so they don't do that. Anyways, so I've just kind of learned coloring along the way, so not an expert at it, don't claim to be. I'm just going to show you how I color, and one of her tricks, like if you have an ink pad, so normally you can use with your alcohol ink markers, you're going to use a Memento, which I find the Memento actually works the best, or an archival. When I was stamping last week with the archival and then coloring right away, it did tend to bleed out, or not bleed out, but blend if it wasn't totally dry, where the Memento seemed to dry quicker. But I'm just going to take one of our ink pads. This is our old brand of ink pad, and it's not as dark. So I'm going to show you, if you have like one of those ink pads that's dried and you stamp it and your lines aren't as dark, you can go ahead and color it. And I'm going to show you, Beth showed me this trick. And if you, what am I saying? So sometimes if you want to check if it's dry, you can, wipe over it, but it dries pretty quick. Watch I do it and it's not dry, but you can always take a heat tool to it to dry it. But sometimes if you don't have as dark of a ink pad, you can color it. Just keep it on your platform. So keep it on your platform, color it, and then you're going to stamp over the top of it. So when I do this, I always put my, the magnets hold it in place, but I also will put it up in the corner, so if it does move at all, it's not moving too much. I always put my lightest color down first, and I wanted to pick something that was super easy to color. So I'll put my lightest color down first, and then I'll take my darker color wherever I want it, and just kind of go along the edge, if I want to blend it. And then I'll take my lighter color and I'll go back and I'll just kind of blend those two colors then together, and maybe give it another once over of my lighter color. But then you can kind of blend those two colors together to get a little bit of shading. So, and some of you might have taken Copic courses.
So which paper are you using now?
I'm using the 100-pound Cougar. So then you get a nice little shading there. So let's see if I can do it with a couple colors. But I just want to show you Beth's trick for when you're stamping and you don't maybe have a good outline or a good dark ink pad for your outline. So, anyways,
Somebody said you just froze. Anybody else having trouble with Sarah freezing up tonight?
I'm not freezing. I mean, I'm not cold.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, I can see myself on my video, and
I can
working.
see you on mine too, and it looks fine, so. Not me, not here. Nope. Okay. Thank you.
So yeah, I'll just kind of blend those colors. So I start with my lighter color, then I add my darker color from the edge, and then blend it in. Now, I put a dark red on there, and I don't really like that. So then let's add one more color here. I did just re-ink my Copics, which I don't always do, and my tips are shot. And that's probably because I pushed down on them pretty hard. Anyways, so I used to color a lot with crayons, and I did pull out my crayons, so I have those here too, and colored pencils too. So I have some of those. So we're just gonna. I'm not gonna color a whole thing with them, but. And I thought I had a different purple in here too, but I don't. Let's see if this purple works. Oops. So anyways, so we'll pull out the crayons because those are like a blast from the past. Does anybody have the Lyra crayons? Because that's the type of crayons that I have. And I think they like made a comeback.
What kind of crayons are those?
Lyra, Lyra.
Thank you.
So yeah, you get some nice little shading in there, and this is with the Cougar. But then you can go back with, so I just used an ink pad, and I was trying to use a dry one, just specifically so it was lighter. But then you can go back with one that maybe is not Copic friendly, like the VersaFine Clair isn't as Copic friendly. If it dries for a while it is, and you can heat set it, but it's a really black ink pad, which I like to do this with, because then I can go back, and as long as I kept it in my stamping platform in the same position, I can go back and I can restamp after I've colored it.
Never heard of that brand.
Yeah, and then it brings out my lines, even my lines that I colored over the top of, it brings those lines out. So anyways, that's just a little trick with stamping. If you're using an ink pad, one, you know, the one that you want to color with, it isn't as dark, you can color it on your platform and then re-stamp it with a nice black ink pad just to bring those lines out a little bit more. So I'm probably going to use this on something, but I don't know what. You'll have to wait for that. But while we have our Cougar out, Cougar's also good for coloring pencils, and I'm not going to color anything, but these are actually Lyra pencils too, because we used to carry Lyra. So if you're coloring, you can blend your colored pencils, and I use a Dove blender, probably old school, but those will stay right on top, and you can then, you know, pull your color out and blend your colors together with, well, the blender. Like Gamasol, people use that with their pencils. Heather does, I think she uses a Dove blender, and she uses Marby markers. Now I'm not going to do this because I don't have a Marby marker, but I've watched Heather do it, where she'll do it on the Marby and she'll pull the color off the tip, and she uses the Cougar also. So on the stamping that Heather does with Stamps by Judith, when she's doing her coloring, she uses the 80-pound Cougar as well. So it works good for that technique. This is just colored pencils. And then the crayons. So this is the Lyra watercolor crayon. And those you color, you know, basically you color also, and you use a Dove blender and blend that color out. So I found the crayons blended a little bit. You can't get them to drag as far, but I didn't find that I had as much lines going on as I do with the pencils. So I did like the crayons when I was coloring. But now I'm a Copic girl. 6:32. Okay, so anyways, the Brilliant White, I did just want to take this one and stamp it really quick. I just want to see if you can see the background, or see when I color one balloon, if you can see the on the back. So I'm just going to test this really quick, and then we're going to go on to the watercolor paper. Our light duty watercolor paper I haven't worked with a whole lot, but I've been playing with it lately. It's for, you know, water techniques. So, but this is the 120 pound. And I'm just going to color one balloon, so you don't have to watch me color them all, but I just want to test and see if you can see the coloring through the back of this. So this would be one of the ones that I like for coloring with Copics. So it's the Cougars, this 120 pound Brilliant White, and then the Neenah Classic Crest. Although for price, I go with the Cougar. All day long I'll go with the Cougar versus the Neenah Classic Crest. So I'm not going to color all of these. I'm just testing this to see if, you know, when we're blending our colors, if we see it through the back. See, I actually like, I think I like the Cougar better for blending this too. So actually, look at that. So this is the 100 pound. And this is the 120 pound Brilliant White. So that is a pretty good test. You can see it a little bit, but not like the 100 pounds. So the 120 pound, if you're looking for something that doesn't bleed through, I did color that pretty heavy. And you see a little bit of the black ink right there, and that's just because I had some black ink on my stamping platform. But yeah, that one is, you see it a little bit, but not much. So if you're doing not heavy coloring like I did, you're probably not going to see it through the back. So that was a good test.
On the
120 pound Brilliant White purely simple paper. So
right.
So yeah, glad I did that. Let's go to the watercolors, and I'm not going to go through all the watercolors tonight, but we have 3 different watercolors. And the cold press I've used, you guys have seen me use that, and I'll use these, you know, a different night where I'll watercolor some more. But then we have the ultra white felt, and then the light duty. So this 140 pound can take a lot of water. It doesn't pill up. Your inks stay on top of it, so they'll move around. The 110 pound ultra white felt, so this is more of a premium cold press watercolor paper, like more of an artist one. The ultra white felt takes a lot of water, but your inks soak in a little bit faster. So you can blend initially, but once they soak in, it's hard to bring them back up. Where on here, you could blend even after it's been sitting for a bit. And then you have your light duty, which is for, it will pill up, so you don't want to take a water brush and be watercoloring on it a lot because it'll start to pill. So it's for some stamping techniques, you know, that don't use a ton of water. So that brings me to my Pampered Chef mat. So
We've been waiting for this. We
Yeah.
want to know.
So I wanted to start playing with the Distress Oxide inks, and I think there's a glass pad that I've seen people use, and I don't have one of those. So I was like, I wonder if I could use my Pampered Chef. So this is just one of their cutting mats, and I just bought a pack of 3 of them. And I obviously don't use all 3 of them at one time, and this one I've never used because I always pull one out, use it, and then it goes right back on top. So this one was on the bottom of the pile. One side is a little bit more matte finish. The other side is a little bit more gloss finish. So right now I've got some of this is the 100-pound light duty watercolor paper. Okay, so that's the paper that we're working with. And I've got some Distress Oxide inks, and I'm just gonna smoosh those on my Pampered Chef mat. In no particular order. And like I said, I have not played with these a whole ton. So, and I probably should have put my pink down first, just so I don't get my other colors in it. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good idea to pull out my Pampered Chef pad. And because I love Pampered Chef, I have lots of Pampered Chef. So anyways, now I'm just taking water and I'm spritzing it. So these are the Distress Oxide inks. Spritzing it, and then you can take your 110-pound or 100-pound light duty watercolor. Well, I just spritzed ink all over there, and you can set that down to get a really cool background. So I kind of like that just the way it is.
Does Pampered Chef know you do that? Hey, nice.
But you can keep dipping it down on each other.
Oh, wow.
You can, like, that's where there was just a little bit more water there, like plain water. Oops, I didn't pick up some drops. But anyways, so yeah, I thought that was super cool. So yeah, I just started playing with the Distress Oxide inks. So this, you can see it's curled. So right now it's curled. I did do one earlier today, and it dried almost flat. So, but I could probably pick up more ink on there, and there's plenty of ink on here, where I can just add more water if I want, and it's going to lighten the color. And I can probably get a couple different things. I probably got too much water on there now. So, but now I have a more pastel-y one. So yeah, I thought that was super fun to be able to use my Pampered Chef mat for that. I really like this one. So I might actually take my balloons and after they're colored, and use this as like a background for that. So now,
will it flatten if you spritz the back with water?
oh, I don't know. Let's try that. So, but look at it, just wipes right off my Pampered Chef mat. It's clean. I'm not going to put it back in my kitchen. I'm going to keep it here in my stamp room. But, but yeah, it just wipes right off of my Pampered Chef mat. I'm using the shiny side. So, and I don't know if it'll flatten out. It will flatten out.
More Easter colors.
Let's spritz the back, because I've never done that before.
Or will it continue to get curlier in the same direction?
Actually, it looks like it flattened out. And now we're just I can dry it. So this one that I did this afternoon, I just let dry. And I'm probably going to use it as a layer anyways. So it doesn't really matter, because I'm just going to tape it down. Okay,
Ron Justison is on here tonight?
What?
Ron's on Facebook these days?
Oh, is he? Oh, yeah.
Hi, Ron.
Hey, Ron. Yeah, he probably said it's good that I'm not going to bring it home and put it back in the kitchen drawer.
Oh, I get Ron, you were afraid you were going to have to use that mat with ink all over it. Well, it doesn't have ink all over it anymore.
So yeah, you can pretty much flatten it back out. So yeah, I'm going to use my little backgrounds for a card. I really like this one, the first one that I did. So that's one of the uses with the 100-pound light duty watercolor paper with your Distress Oxide inks. So yeah, I think the only thing that I didn't get to, which I might do that a different day, I'll concentrate on like glossy and dull gloss. And then I'll try coloring it. But yeah, so today we talked about the light duty, working really good with your Distress Oxide inks, the 100-pound Cougar, being really good for your Copics, your pencils, your crayons. Your 120-pound Brilliant White is nice because it doesn't bleed through the back. And you can, these are both really hard surfaces, so they work really good for your detail stamping and your coloring. So, and then you have some of your other whites that if you're not looking for a stark white, and maybe you're not going to be coloring on them, so that would be the 100-pound Sweet Tooth and the Basis and those. So yeah, we talked about these and your Solar White. So anyways, I will make cards out of these, but not tonight. And then we will see you next week for our flip-flop craft along. If you have any questions on whites, let me know. Because yeah, I can demo specifically, like I will do a demo specifically for the glossy and the McCoy Dow gloss. We'll do that just on one night. So anyways, see you next week, Thursday.